Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago. NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
Thanks for joining us on the 16th episode of the NSCoder Chicago podcast. Here we talk about iOS development, career, technology news, and of course, AI. My name is David, and today we're joined by...
Kevin Donnelly. I gave a talk at the last NSCoder about engineering management.
And my name's Sean. NSCoder is a monthly meetup here in Chicago. We meet downtown on the last Tuesday of every month. Join us for conversation with other Apple enthusiasts and Apple developers, pizza, salad, and many times a presentation like Kevin's.
Yes, and you wouldn't see it on the channel, but after the presentation, there was a lot of great conversation. Honestly, it's like that's the kind of stuff we go there for. There's interesting things to chat about and learn. So really fun to participate in those events.
Yeah, definitely. So Kevin had been, I guess, threatening to give some version of this talk for a while. And I was so glad that he volunteered to address the audience. I can also share this breaking news. I looked in our YouTube analytics, and the presentation is our best viewed video of the last 90 days.
Oh, is that true? It's got to be that
Ooh.
LinkedIn post.
Yeah, in the few days it's been out, it's already beaten our top rated podcast episode by about 5%. So way to go, Kevin.
Nice.
You got a hit.
It's the power of posting on LinkedIn,
The power of
Oh,
social
yeah.
media.
I should check out that LinkedIn.
for better or worse.
Thanks for joining us for this podcast episode, Kevin. I figured this might be a good chance to follow up on anything related to the presentation, anything you didn't get a chance to include there or just wanted to add on to it.
Yeah, I guess I'll give a quick recap of it for folks who might not have seen it, but you can pause this and boost the views on both. But
Yes.
the title was your engineering manager in 7 mostly Mad Men gifts. And as Sean said, I had been threatening to I've been giving talks at NSCoder for a very long time, though I took like a 6-year hiatus, never got back into swinging things post COVID. But since I've been an engineering manager, I always had this idea of this talk. It started with a funny title. It was "Lies Your Engineering Manager Told You," which is like, I don't know, that's like a funny idea. You're like engineering manager, the person you're supposed to trust is just lying to you.
Yep.
But I could never like fill enough. I could never come up with enough lies. Basically, the only lie I could come up with was like when they say it's fine, it's like probably not fine.
Right.
They might just be like a little afraid to tell you that you're annoying them right now or something.
I'm sure that lie's coming from a good place too. They just don't want to pass on any stress, right?
Yeah, or like your manager is a little bit of a coward and doesn't want to confront you at this moment.
Yeah.
Sure.
and so I pivoted it to this talk, which is kind of using GIFs to explain certain thoughts, and my 2 main points were basically your manager is a person, for better or worse, and you have agency in that relationship, and probably more agency than you either give yourself credit for or attempt to have, and that is an opportunity for your career. And yeah, I think it came out pretty well, but you folks can review the YouTube video and decide for themselves.
Oh yeah, it was great. And honestly, so something I'm gonna have to mention to future presenters is probably that we should keep the mic running after the presentation's over, because twice I've noticed the immediate instinct is to turn off the microphone, and then we miss the great conversation afterwards. But yeah, it was a good presentation.
You got to get a wireless one so that the presenter isn't in control of turning it off.
True. I need to upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah, the QA was really good, and I was a little bit relieved by it. Because like midway through the talk, I was a little worried, like, was this talk coming off too mean? Because I found myself, talking about the politics of a workplace. And I don't see that from my role as an inherently negative thing, because I think all workplaces have a politics, and
Oh yeah, it doesn't have to be bad.
and being aware of them is valuable to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, talking about politics, and I was using GIFs of Mad Men, which is just an objectively terrible workplace. So I was a little worried I was coming off very like callous or mean, but then, yeah, I mean, there was great questions, and I think people really appreciated kind of having direct access to a manager.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen the talk and they're just hearing this from his side, he didn't come off mean at all. He was great. It was such a nice presentation.
Yeah, afterwards and during it, the questions coming out were really good, and I was just relieved that like, oh, I can provide a service providing candid answers to people about um, how an engineering leader in their org might be thinking, with the caveats of that I'm only my own brain, so maybe I'm the weird one, and everyone else is actually thinking about this way differently.
Yeah, I'm always surprised that the non-technical talks at NSCoder always get a lot of interaction. People um, uh, with management are looking for, I don't know, answers, perspective. Like there are fewer managers than there are the rest of people. Um, so were you, you said you were surprised that, or you were glad that it didn't come off as mean spirited. People engaged with that, but like, were you surprised by the enthusiasm? I mean, the questions just kept coming.
Um, I don't think so. I was glad I was glad it resonated with people, and I was glad I could, like I said, kind of provide some like blunt answers. Even though like if someone wanted to ask like at work, if someone wanted to ask me those, I would have given the exact same answers. But like people don't because it's a little scary.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there is always this like gulf between like I'm gonna use the manager term of IC, individual contributor, which is basically just
Mm-hmm.
means like not manager, which is the first word you learn when you become a manager. People start using that word around you, and you're like, oh, okay, this is how you talk about it.
I honestly didn't start hearing that title, I guess, that term until maybe just a few years ago, like well into my senior years. But recruiters even started using it, like just so you're aware, this would be an IC role, individual contributor. Like, oh, okay, yeah, fine with that.
I think it's getting out there more.
Yeah, yeah.
It's breaking through. But there is always this gulf, I think, between a manager is probably dealing with more of those like soft interpersonal skills versus an engineer who's just more like, this ticket is done. Like you
Right.
can't click done on a person, but you can click done on a ticket.
Yeah.
So there is this gap, as Sean was alluding to, and I think it makes sense that when people see an opportunity to, like, I don't know, I don't think maybe I was blowing minds, I don't know, but it makes sense to me that people would be receptive to sort of this different way of seeing things.
And the other reason it makes sense to me is because it's a kind of thing that we all have to experience, right? Everyone's going to be managed in a developer role, even if you're reporting to the CEO directly, And so there's this kind of dynamic where it's kind of like, how do you talk to someone who is managing you, or the other way around, how to manage that relationship best, and how to navigate certain things. One of the interesting questions that I felt like came up a couple of times was like, when do you know how to like really push on something, or what hill to die on?
Love that
And
metaphor.
yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we all kind of like wonder about. Like, oh, I noticed this thing that I really want to mention, and I feel like I should say something, but it's kind of like, well, should you really? Is every concern something that needs to be addressed? And this presentation and talk and all of those questions felt like it was really digging into the meat of that existence.
Yeah, at the end of it, I almost wished I just made the talk about that, because I think in the QA, I think where we landed, or at least where I landed, was like the thing you care about has to matter to the business. If it doesn't, you're in for a really hard time. So
Yeah.
either make it matter to the business,
Hmm.
either you get lucky and it does matter to the business, and you're on easy street, sort of getting the thing you want done accomplished, or you have to do the difficult role of making it matter to the business. And if you can't, it's going to be re- really, really hard to near impossible to do the thing you want to do and
Yeah.
like get credit for doing it, because maybe you'll just wear people down and you'll be like, yeah, fine, like refactor the thingamajig, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But then behind the scenes they're like, ugh, I
Yeah.
wanted him to do this, but he was refactoring the thingamajig instead. So you're
Yeah.
not going to get credit for doing that work, even if you find
Right.
it valuable.
You know, kind of related to what you're mentioning right now, I don't think this came up during the event, but I'm curious about a quick opinion from your side. What about cases? So let's say you pushed on something and it turned out to not pay off very much, or maybe it wasn't exactly what the business or a team wanted. Is there any going back from that, or like, is there definitely like a screw up point where there's no turning back, or do you feel like as a manager you can have a team member redeem themselves eventually?
I don't even think it's about redemption. I sort of a thing I used is like you get credit for having the idea and it being a good idea, and then you get credit for it um actually mattering, actually being important, actually
Mm-hmm.
shipping it.
I see. So there's like a recognition for the effort, but then there's a separate recognition for how much it actually helps.
Yeah, and this isn't like I wasn't reflecting on I wasn't like going down a rubric of like, 1 point versus 2 point, adding them all up, but like,
Sure.
the idea that someone is thinking about the system in a coherent, productive way so that they can come up with an idea
Mm-hmm.
that is that and then speak to that idea to get the coach I used to work with always used the term enrolling. That was it. Enroll people in the idea. You get that's hard. You get a lot of credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
then actually following through and it being valuable and it providing business value or making your fellow engineers' lives easier. Like that's sort of if you can do both of those things, that's
Mm-hmm.
someone who's having an exceptional year, who I see as like a leader on the team and can be depended on to sort of do that again. And
Okay.
if the second part fails,
Mm-hmm.
I see it as like this. It's not something you have to make up for.
Okay.
Um, it's just like, yeah, uh, ideas that look good fail all the time, or good ideas fail all the time.
Sure. So in the terms that we were using, if you chose to die on the wrong hill, it wouldn't necessarily be the end. It wouldn't really be a death. It's you get a little bit of recognition for trying.
Yeah, at least for me. And I
Yeah.
think like I really love the dying on the hill metaphor because like you can't die on it. You shouldn't die on every hill. Like that should be
Yeah.
impossible. You got to make it count. Um,
Okay.
and so I like take this metaphor literally. Like you got to pick a hill and then make it yours. Versus like I think we all know the engineer who has a really strong opinion about literally everything. And every time you
Mhm.
talk to that person, they're going to have a strong opinion and they're going to
Oh,
like dig their
sure.
heels in. And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want this. Like, I need to enroll you in this idea and I just don't want it to be a fight. It can be a
Yeah.
fight sometimes, and that's really fun and that's really engaging and that makes the work worth doing, but like just not every
Mhm.
time, please.
Yeah.
It's it's
Yeah.
it's Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to get breaks here and there.
I'm curious, Sean, if you think about this similarly as someone kind of in a similar position as me.
Yeah, with your management experience.
Yeah, 100%. Like I if again, of course, you and I are great managers, great leaders. So we do this, but the principal job of the manager is to uh disperse the goals of the company, like make it obvious so the right thing is the right thing. Like if you're doing a excellent job, if you are the perfect manager, nobody on your team has to even wonder. They just know what the right thing to do is.
Mm.
Uh but uh that doesn't happen very much in reality. Like I've
Easier said than done.
yeah, exactly. I've had many colleagues that would much rather be right than employed. Uh
Oh,
not
wow.
not not like they were fired for speaking up, but like at a certain point you have to say like you're getting, a paycheck from the company
Mhm.
and what you're excited about doesn't matter to our bottom line or
Yeah.
to our customers. So
Mm.
why are you worried about it? you know?
Right. Yeah. The things that people choose to fixate on sometimes can be confusing.
Yeah. But like
Um,
it's
Yeah, say customers. It's less Machiavellian than bottom line.
you started to touch on this a little bit, Kevin, but a lot of this does feel related to soft skills in terms of working with other people. I wonder if you have any thoughts around that you'd like to share.
well, I guess you could take that question any direction you want.
Well, so for example, I mean, one thing I would say is that soft skills in software development, I think, maybe engineering roles in general are often known to be lacking, but if you want to be a good manager, that's something that you definitely have to have, maybe have to develop over time. Um, and it's kind of curious because I feel like maybe this is changing today where developer jobs are getting more competitive, but I feel like for a long time, as long as you were able to write awesome code and get things done quickly and well, you could get a job even if you had terrible people skills. Um, that doesn't seem like it's true for management.
I disagree.
Oh, okay.
So, sometimes you meet a manager and like, why are you a manager?
Yeah. I mean, there's people that are bad at their jobs at all levels. But yeah, I would hope that everyone has soft. I mean, what even are soft skills, right? Like Kevin, like what do you think? What was the most important like soft skill in your management journey?
I think like emotional intelligence, just sort of and understanding that the person across from you is like uh living a life that is as rich and deep and real as yours. Um like I this is very off base, off tangent, but I find the idea of calling someone an NPC like deeply like it's one of the I think it's not like a slur. Like it's not the worst thing you can call someone, but I think it like reflects the worst worldview you could possibly have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like I
yeah.
find it like literally offensive.
For those who aren't familiar, though we're in the tech audience, people probably know NPC is non-playable character. They're literally like the digital dolls that fill your games, that you run over with cars and stuff.
Looking forward to the new GTA. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like so that like emotional intelligence to kind of understand that like the person talking to you like wants something and needs something. I think that is valuable for you as a person and valuable for you in your career, and it becomes hopefully as you move up through a company into like a senior two and a staff or a principal role, like kind of non-negotiable. Like those, a staff and a principal engineer are closer to like it's just leadership, and leadership needs those like soft skills. And for
Yeah.
me, it kind of boils down to like, when you're working with someone, like really collaborating and working with them. I guess I'm falling into like a tautology here, but um like if you're working with a product manager and you have these constraints and you're like, well, if you build it that way, it's going to take 6 months or it's going to be really difficult to build. And they're like, you feel like they're digging their heels in, they're dying on this hill.
Hmm.
And I think with if you if you come to that conversation with like, and you have like good emotional intelligence, you can kind of understand like think like why they are doing this. Like why is this important to them? What are their goals? I think you can be a lot more effective in that conversation, and that will hopefully make the product you're building more effective and serve your customers more. Um, and I think you'll have a lot better time doing it, and like people will. This sounds weird, but like people will like you more in
Yeah.
your job, and they will come to you with you will be seen as someone who solves problems and helps, and that means you will be more valuable in your role, and you can do more and achieve more. And so it's sort of I think this the soft skills have this compounding effect where you're bringing people in, not kind of pushing them away.
Yeah, well, I also think it's a matter of keeping people happy and doing the job that they're supposed to do too, right? If you kind of start treating them like worker bees and don't really care about their feelings or how much they're enjoying their work, eventually they're gonna burn out and wish they were doing something else, you know?
Yeah.
And so being able to pay attention to like how's this person feeling today or every day that they're coming to work, and how do we communicate in a way that respects them and keeps them motivated. I think all of that is embedded in soft skills, and the better you are at doing that, the happier your coworkers or your team is going to be. um, I think it contributes to a better work environment, and I think even a more productive work environment too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel it also like builds trust,
Mm.
and it builds like a bank of trust, and sometimes you have to spend that trust. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, you'll be given a just like, hey, we need to just get this out. We need to just like grind it out and just get it
Mm-hmm.
done and cut the scope and just like we need to ship this by this date for arbitrary business reasons.
Right, right. For better or worse, sometimes you just got to work through the weekend together just to meet that deadline.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, I hope that's not a unique experience for me. I've been asked to do that several times.
I haven't had to do that in a while. A
Yeah.
previous startup was that was every week, but
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
my last job was luckily enough where it was aggressively 9 to 5 in a way I was
Nice.
deeply thankful for.
Yeah.
But like even within you're not being asked to work crazy hours, there's still like things that can frustrate you and annoy you about any job.
Mm.
And having that trust, you know, I go to the team and say like, hey, we gotta cut the, or like, hey, this thing we're really excited for, we're no longer gonna do.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
if I don't have their trust, they're just gonna like, you know, in their heads,
Why?
or
Why?
Mm.
yeah, like in their heads, just tell me off, or to my face, tell me off. But
Yeah.
if I have their trust and they trust me,
Uh-huh.
then we can work through this. I spend a little bit of that trust. I have to earn it back later, like that. I just know. Um,
Yeah.
but we can move on past the kind of rough patches.
A friend of mine I worked with a few jobs ago. He's gone on and been the CTO at a couple startups. When I was looking for work, I was trying to come up with a sales pitch for like good culture. Like why do you want a team that doesn't want to kill themselves? And he had it down pat. He was like, a good culture is the cheapest thing you can do to improve outcomes. You'll
Oh.
have more retention, you'll have ship more, you'll be happier, all this stuff. And I stole that and I used that in interviews.
I'm
Nice.
gonna steal that and use that in interviews.
Yeah. And the things you're describing, the like, emotional intelligence, being genuinely curious about other people, that goes back like to how to win friends and influence people.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if you come to a conversation with genuine curiosity, it's so much easier to just like get to the root of
Mhm.
whatever's going on.
Have you read that book?
I read it. How old am I? I read it 24 years ago.
Okay. Should I read that
Oh.
book? I like it.
Yes.
The
Totally
title
worth a
always
read.
aligns with like things. Like it feels like I should read that book. I guess I'm saying. So should I read
Definitely
that book?
read
David's-
that book.
David
But
says strong yes.
yeah,
Okay.
read it with bring all of your cynicism to it, but it's surprising how much they capture a lot of what goes unsaid in intuitive social interactions.
All right.
Yeah.
But it kind of comes off a little bit like The Game by Neil Strauss. Have you heard of that book?
Creepy.
Yeah,
Is that the-
exactly.
Yeah, that's the creepy guy. Okay.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
pickup artist book. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you kind of feel like you're reading social things all the wrong way and trying to game things in the wrong way, but that's how that book will make you feel. But it's fun to kind of see.
Wait,
these
which
things.
one?
Both.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah, both of
Okay,
them.
yeah, the
they're
game.
both
The
kinda
game
like
is using the
psychopath
tools for
books.
evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, tools for evil. Exactly. I mean, that's the truth. It's like if a psychopath wanted to figure out how people work, that's the book they would read.
I
Oh
do,
my
I
God.
do worry that kind of is like with being a manager, you're sort of you're dealing with a lot of like emotion, and you're dealing with a lot of like
Yeah.
human things.
You're dealing with
and
people.
I do worry about like like growing callous to like, because I do
Oh
think
yeah.
like, 7-8 years into my management career, I do
Hmm.
care less than I did at the very beginning.
Sure, you become
Uh,
desensitized
yeah,
to things that mattered
and
more. Yeah.
and so I'm like, am I a sociopath? Like, I got to do one of those like
Oh.
psychopath
Well,
tests to make sure like I can still feel human
Mm.
emotions. And I'm like, it's
well,
not, it never got that bad, but like I do like I do need.
Well, you haven't
I
stopped
always try to
caring about
remind
your friends
myself
and family, have you?
of those things. Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
difference, like, between getting through the job and then just seeing people that way everywhere, you know?
yeah.
Um,
this is you have to tune in next week for the therapy cast. Uh, so I want to drill into that because, like, how do you care genuinely about the people in the company at the same time? How do you say difficult things while also, being genuinely interested in their humanity? How do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like being genuinely interested in their humanity, I think comes first, and then everything is easier if you're coming at it from a place that you can defend, meaning
mm,
like you are. I am say like this thing I'm about to say to you is going to hurt, or not hurt, but like is going to be hard for you to hear.
mm,
But I'm not saying it in a vacuum. I'm saying it because it is the thing I think I can say to help you in this moment and to get you
mm.
where I think you could be. And then if you start with that like care for the person and humanity, hopefully then they trust you and you have a relationship where you saying something difficult is met with acceptance and curiosity and not um, just like a an amygdala hijack response where they just go into flight or flight. And sometimes that's just the kind of person they are. Like you could have the best relationship and very trusting, and you say something uh, hard, and they will, you see them just like tense up, and you're like okay, and you have to approach those conversations differently.
Right. You see them pulling the blinds, like, through their eyes. Um, but one thing I was going to kind of mention that you mentioned, like, just like caring about them, and I think a big part of that. So to oversimplify it, I think there's like two kinds of people. One who feels like they need to like compete with everyone on everything, and they need to be right and they can't ever be wrong. Then there's the other person who wants to work with everyone as a team, like we're on the same side, we're gonna accomplish things together. And I think as much as you can be on the other person's side and be trying to help them in some way, they're probably going to be a lot more receptive to what you have to offer them. That's my feeling. I don't know. Like if I feel like someone's just trying to use me as a tool or get ahead or even trying to prove me wrong just so they can appear right.
Oh yeah, yeah. People pick up on that.
Yeah, it's a harder thing to accept than
Yeah.
someone who's like trying to work together with me. Like I can feel that, and I'd rather work with someone like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had bosses, people that I've worked with before that were very like nakedly ambitious
Mm.
and saw me as a a problem to solve to get to
Oh,
what they
that's always
wanted.
so sad. That's such a sad situation.
Yeah, and you see it eventually. Like even if they put on a facade, eventually
Hmm.
it's pretty obvious. But then
Yeah.
to I guess support our thesis, I've also worked with crazy ambitious people
Hmm.
who also at the same time were genuinely interested in the problems and the people, and they were so much better to work with. Even if they
Oh yeah.
were incredibly frustrating, I
Hmm.
knew deep down that like, well, at least they're a person and they care and they're
Right.
interested in, humanity
I
and the inner life.
Hmm.
I think you also see that where like I think it's very common for someone on a team to trust their team a lot and trust their manager a lot. But that trust doesn't extend
Yeah.
beyond that team. Where like
Oh yeah.
like you go to an all hands and they're just like their eyes are just doing cartwheels because they're rolling so much anytime like an executive speaks. And to be fair to the
Mm.
executives, like they have to come off a bit more like guarded and artificial.
Yeah.
They don't have to, but they tend to because they're advised
They're
to.
being careful. They have to like really maintain their appearance for a lot of people with a lot of opinions.
Yeah, and so and they have a lot of stakeholders. Like their stakeholders is not just one engineer; it's the engineering department and the marketing department and their board of directors. They're probably their real stakeholders, and So they like have to walk a very windy path.
Yeah.
And I think people see that, and they feel it maybe more than they see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like,
Tuned out.
yeah, they tune out when.
Well, I think that's why in recent history, like Steve Jobs is such a compelling figure because he seemed so genuine at every level.
Right.
And again, like his foibles notwithstanding, like he was a complicated person,
Mm-hmm.
but like I can't think of any other executive that seemed. I mean, I don't want to invoke Obama, but like again, even for his foibles, like he seemed like a pretty genuine person. Like
yeah.
he actually cared about the weight of the things that he was dealing with and the people
Mhm.
involved,
Yeah.
I have a theory about this.
All right, lay it on us.
It's probably true. Like they those two examples, and like the are probably do kind of care at like a level that others aren't. But also they were better at reading off a teleprompter. Their reading voice
Oh.
didn't sound like a reading voice.
There's a performative aspect to it.
Wait, I'm writing this down.
When your reading voice sounds like a reading voice, I think people trust you less.
Mm.
Because I have a really bad reading voice. So like I can never
Sure.
I can't read.
Yeah.
I have to just like kind of have it internalized. And like I think we've probably all been at all hands where like it's just this droll reading,
Sure.
and then
Yeah.
maybe someone asks a question and suddenly they're not reading anymore.
Yep.
And they're a lot more animated and a lot more engaged with what's going on.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is two different people.
Mhm.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, just good at reading.
Come on, I mean, he did the keynotes live. Like he rehearsed them a ton, but like
I think he memorized them. Is the difference?
yeah. But that's a astute point. Like even that little bit of genuine or ungenuineness, like really taints the whole experience of watching
Yeah.
somebody speak at you.
Mm.
Yeah. Whereas if you've kind of memorized it, or you're just really good at reading off teleprompter, you're coming off much more earnestly, and human beings just react to that a lot different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that going back a step, that reminded me of something you said about like you build up trust, you burn down trust. Sometimes you come to the team and you're like, we just got to ship this. And there's a sales aphorism that's like, if you don't believe it, you can't sell it. And so how as a manager, like, have you had to sell something that you weren't bought in on? Like, the executives say, what, I don't know, we got to ship this next week, and you don't believe it and you don't understand why, but you've got to toe the line.
I think a problem I had is that I'm a bit too, I don't know, trusting. I was very much a like disagree privately, but then when the decision is made, you kind of own it and move forward. And like, of course, I would say that publicly because that's like what bosses want to hear people say. But I always,
if they're listening now, they know.
They've made it to minute 30. I don't know. I've always tended to understand where the decision is coming from, so I can kind of own it a little bit, and maybe that's where that like not reading off a teleprompter. Like I was never a decision came down. There was this example in the last year of we were working on this like new homepage, and it was a really big project. There was lots of benefits for it. It was going to be a lot more dynamic, and this is ostensibly an iOS podcast, so we was like it was going to be server driven, so we wouldn't have to do app updates to update the homepage more, and yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like at the end of the day, we had to, and we started building it. And at the end of the day, it was just like this isn't the most important thing the team could be working on now, and that was something that people put a lot of their time and energy into. But it was a decision that I agreed with in the short term and disagreed with in the long term. Because it's like I get it. We don't need this now. We will regret not having this in 18 months.
Yeah.
And but I went to the team and it was like, hey, sorry, we're gonna like stop this. And that was, I understood the reasons, and so I could sell it, and people trusted me so they were mad, but they kind of got it, and we could talk through it both as a team and publicly and privately, like sort of one on one. But
Yeah.
it sort of, I think part of it was I I might not have agreed with the decision, but I
Right.
understood it and I could sell it
It's interesting
earnestly
to
to the
me
team.
that you describe it as having to sell it. Like in from my perspective, I would imagine it being the kind of thing of like, hey, I'm on your guys' side, but it's coming from above me. We
Ooh,
unfortunately
that's
have to go a different way. Is there a reason why you wouldn't just put it that way as opposed to like selling it in terms of like, do you have to feel like you
I
believe it?
I I think I do have to believe it. And also
Mm.
like I viewed my role as like in a lot of ways I am the company to
Okay.
a team member.
Mm.
And so I don't get to blame somebody else for it,
Sure.
much in the way that also like I wouldn't want someone on my team to blame someone else
Okay.
for most things, and sort of that blameless postmortem, even though we all walk into blameless postmortems knowing that like we didn't cause the problem.
Mm.
Um,
Sure.
uh,
that's mobile.
it's like I'm just a consumer. I don't know. Um, so I always took the tact of like I
Owning it.
I represent the company,
Mm.
and that is both metaphorical and also like you know the HR will tell you like as a manager you literally represent the company in some ways.
Okay.
Um, like knowing things mean the company knows things.
Mm.
Thus, you
Yeah.
can't do these things, or if someone tells you this, you have to say something, kind of stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, and so I always kind of took that a little bit literally of like it's not like everyone knows I'm not the one making the decision,
Yeah.
but like I have to own it and I'm not going to blame somebody else for it.
Mm.
Now like, I'm talking with someone one on one like outside of work, I might let that facade slip a little bit.
Sure.
But that is because at that point we're like maybe we're friends or we have a different relationship.
Okay.
Um but even then like I'd still tried to be very aware of
Mm.
like I don't want to blame anybody else. I don't want to blame anybody else for this decision. Like I'll own it. It's fine. Come
Uh-huh.
hell or high water, this could be a good idea, bad idea, whatever.
That's so interesting to me because I almost feel like I'd rather know that the manager is on my side, but that we as a as an employee you don't get to make the decisions for where the business goes all the time, and so sometimes
Well,
you have to kind of do take another direction.
I mean, it's fair to say, listen, I don't agree with it,
Mhm.
but I understand the larger picture.
Mhm.
It's a dangerous way to go if you as the manager start to breed a little like rebellion in your teams,
Oh,
because that'll never end well. Like
okay.
Yeah.
you will only ruin your team's careers, your
I
career.
see.
Like
What you're getting at is
no,
like by presenting it that way, you may actually make your team start to have some negative feelings towards the larger company or
but
higher
not even
ups.
that. If there's a decision as the manager, like Kevin said, there's a chain of trust. So
Mm.
you either have to argue it out and feel good about it and sell it,
Mm.
or you have to just get in line and swallow it,
Okay.
because otherwise you're pointing your team in a slightly askew direction.
Yeah.
And so even if it's not outward hostility, like, oh, I hate that other team, even the decisions they make will
Uh-huh.
be colored by this decision. So maybe they don't
I
work on the right
see.
thing, or they work slower, or they don't connect to the right that, like,
Sure.
you're just doing a disservice to everyone involved.
There's a difference in quality of like, I think this is the best solution, so I'm going to make it versus I'm just doing this because I have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of I mean, thematically, we also keep coming back to like saying the difficult things, like being able to be honest with people on your team and
Mm-hmm.
your bosses, and be honest about the constraints or the outcomes or the goals, the upside, the downside, all that.
Yeah.
Kevin, you mentioned earlier that in passing that you had a coach. I was curious, who were your role models? Did you have a great manager that inspired you, or did you work with a coach? How do you know what good was? How did you develop good taste?
Yeah. I mean that you said the word taste. You stole my immediate answer, which is like you just kind of have to develop that good taste in all things, like in product and in like management. Um, I did work with a coach for I think like a year and a half. It was good. Like I jokingly called it like work therapy, which I don't think the coach appreciated or like didn't like it. Like it was like I'm not like I'm like dude, talk to your therapist if you need. Like I'm not a therapist. Like, you're not using me as one. But it was good to like be able to. It was really good to be able to talk through like issues at work, um, with a third party that has no stake in it. And like even if you talk to your friends or your partner, like they have a stake in it because they're just going to be like, "Oh yeah, that sucks for you. Like, yo, you got robbed." Whereas a coach is probably not going to tell you that. Um, and you know, I don't want to reduce that like year and a half relationship to, and he taught me the word enrolling. But that was the most like important, I think, takeaway of of that time. I think the other one that kind of sticks out. I had a, it was that's I'd been in the company for like 10 years, and so we started like when I started, he was an engineer, and then he moved into management a few years uh, before me, and he was always and then I moved to management, so like we were peers, and then I reported to him, and then we were peers again, but at like the management track, and yada yada yada. And I think uh, what I really took away from that relationship was like we were very different people. We approached problems very differently, but from the beginning, both in our like reporting one-on-one structure, and then also like how we kind of comported himself to the team, is it was very clear that like he cared very deeply about the people. And he even said this like to the company or to the engineering department at one point of like, it's really important to me that you think your time matters here. And
Mm.
if you think that your time is being like wasted here, you should like do something about that.
Hmm.
Like either figure out, get a different role, or figure out how you can make your time here matter, because like this is all the time you get, so like you should um this should be important, and this should matter to you. And that always stuck with
Mm.
me, and I always like really deeply respected um sort of that approach to things.
It took me a sec for that to dawn on me because he wasn't talking about like wasting time in like inefficient work. He's like the existential, like you only have one life and career is so much of it, so make
Mm.
it worth
Yeah,
something.
and it wasn't like I interpreted it like it wasn't like every day um at your job has to be this like blissful awakening of radiance.
Yeah.
It's just that like you should be getting out of it what you want to get out of it. And if you want to get out of it like heads down 9 to 5 to go on to the thing you're truly passionate about, great. If you want to get something more out of it, also great. But just like don't like sleepwalk through this. And
Mm.
some people sleepwalk through jobs, and that's their decision. Hopefully that's their
Yeah.
decision, that's their choice.
Feels common.
um
Yeah.
my takeaway from that isn't that you should uh you should push for everyone to have like a deep meaningful relationship with work. It's that like acknowledge the humanity in them,
Yeah.
and want the best for that humanity.
Sure. Well, also, like, I mean, you don't want to, like, work away, like, 20, 40 years and look back and feel like you just wasted it all doing something you didn't want to do, right?
Yeah.
Um, like, maybe not everyone has to be in love with their job, but just from a personal standpoint, like, don't hate your job for your entire life. And, like, what kind of life is that to lead, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's good I don't know, self-help advice for all aspects of life, like being deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz even if you do hate your job, if your job pays you a lot and you're like, "Well, I'll hate my job for a couple years and I will, I don't know, learn the violin." Like, all right,
Sure.
that's a goal, that's good. But
Yeah,
yeah,
or the
I
job like enables you to do
Yeah, maybe
something
you
meaningful.
you hate the
Yeah.
job on, work hours, but you love your life, and what it allows you to do off work hours,
Yeah. I uh I've long used a metaphor of like seasons, like there are seasons to your life, and sometimes you really want to hustle and make more money and get
Yeah,
promoted, sometimes you want to learn, and sometimes you just want to clock in and do some tickets
right.
and go home.
Yeah.
And the hopefully the manager knows enough to know how to manage those different people in those different seasons, and then also make sure that you've got the right people in the right place, because if you're a crazy startup that's going to go out of business in 3 weeks with no runway,
Ooh.
you need people that want to grind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna steal the word season because I used a similar thing, but I called it like plateaus. Like
Mm.
you might you get up to a plateau and then you might hang out at that plateau for a while. But
Yeah,
season is
yeah,
much more poetic than plateau, so I'm gonna start using season.
I feel
yeah.
like those are like very linear to me. Like I can kind of see going back and forth between those different mindsets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like for example, I thought I was never gonna, be passionate about software development again for a while there, but I love it again. I'm willing to kind of spend hours at the computer that I wasn't willing to do for a long time.
So we need a there has to be a better metaphor. We
I
gotta
like
okay, let's
season. I think you
brainstorm
nailed
this.
it.
But
I'm
it
gonna go with
like
season.
seasons are still cyclical.
Oh, that's true. And if like one of the seasons is bad, hmm.
So like maybe weather, I don't know,
Oh,
because
there you
weather
go.
comes and goes, but it's still
Yeah.
cyclical.
You also can't like
Because I
predict. I love weather as a metaphor,
yeah.
because like you can't. I don't know. I really like the idea that like complex systems are inherently chaotic and inherently um, hard to predict. And I think like the human body is
Mm.
like a complex system that you can't predict, and that's why we
Yeah.
think we know a lot about it, but we don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Climate is a complex system, and collections of humans working remotely or in an office is a complex system that is really hard to
Oh
predict.
yeah.
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 I think this segues perfectly. You try to predict, you try to control, you try to capitalize on these seasons. We've long had on our list of things to talk about career pathing, career tracks. So I guess to start, like, have you had the opportunity to identify people that should go into management? Like, how do you think about that? Um, that role change for people you're working with, people that report to you.
It's sort of like you know it when you see it, which is like a really boring answer for a podcast. So I will attempt to put it more into words, but
Paint
I
us a
think
word picture.
it's that to me, like identifying it for like hope. I guess at a high level, um, I don't view it as like you're going down like you go down this path forever. Like I think what's kind of common is you can bounce between the two. Like you can be a manager at one role and then you're like, let me do something else for a while, like at a different job. Um, like in my uh job search, I don't know if I'm going to be looking like exclusively for manager roles versus like maybe a staff role at something, or like a really early startup that needs like an engineer now and a sort of directory kind of person in 12 to 18 months. So I see it a bit. You can go back and forth, and the skills are interchangeable. Um, and I think AI might actually, and like coding tools might actually blur those two things a bit more.
Yeah, we've got more
Um,
to ask you about that here soon.
but I think for identifying people for manager roles, I think it does come down to that emotional intelligence. Like if they can if they can handle advanced technical um, things, while also having the emotional intelligence to be able to collaborate really well, to be able to understand what someone is asking for, even if they aren't asking for it particularly well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
to kind of look past the word someone using and look at their like what are they trying to achieve and what are their goals.
Yeah.
Um, I think like that is you kind of know it when you see it and you can identify it, and then that's the kind of person that you can either talk about a manager role with, or if that's not an opening, you can still build a really effective team around that person
Mm.
and be and start giving them more responsibility. You know, if that's the season they're in, if they're in the more responsibility season, and hopefully you can do it. The harder thing is like giving people more responsibility and then like also rewarding them for it now versus like in a year with a self eval kind of thing. That's like I don't know. I always feel bad giving someone more responsibility, and you're like, and your paycheck's gonna stay the same. Sorry,
yeah.
sorry, you're good at your
Yeah.
job. But I guess that's like careers in a nutshell of like advancements is sorry you're good at your job until you get sort of compensated for that.
Yeah, you gotta
It sometime in the
yeah,
future.
do the job before you get the job. Yeah. So
Yeah, go ahead.
earlier you I think you said that like principal engineers, staff engineers also need soft skills. So like how do you know, if you've got somebody that's got leadership potential, and I'm making like little air quotes, what how do you tell the difference between somebody that's a staff engineer or even in your own career? Like how is it just the job that's available and you're like, I can do engineering or I can do leadership? What's the difference between the roles?
I think it's like to me there's a difference. Like a staff engineer should be thinking a bit more about the systems and the like technical solutions to a problem, um, and anticipating like business issues that can be solved technically. And an engineering manager is a bit more. You're doing a little bit of that, but hopefully like a good engineering manager with a good cohort of like staff and principal engineers is pushing a lot of that work to that cohort of people and then listening to them and giving them space and time and team members to fix the problems that they're identifying. And the engineering manager is keeping the trains running on time, which is a can be technical, but it's sort of it's a bit more in some ways like project managey. And then you combine that with like the like the interpersonal things a manager is going to have to deal with, the like people's messy lives and feelings and thoughts.
Right.
And if someone's not up for that, then they shouldn't or can't handle that, then they
Mhm.
shouldn't be a manager, and that's why sort of different paths exist. And they should get they should feel if they're willing to do it, but they don't get like they don't feel fulfilled doing that, then they're going to have a rough time on a manager path, and they should think about a different the more staying on the more technical path.
Yeah, there are so many senior leaders I've worked with over the years that would say like, "Oh, I just want to get back to code. I really enjoy code." And I'm like,
Right.
"My dude, what? You're the CTO, you're the VP of engineering. Like, get out of here. Go write code." Like,
Right. Yeah, what I would assume is that there's like some recognition for the fact that one, you're gonna in one role you're gonna be working with people majoritively. You're gonna be working, to communicate with people, whether it's your team or higher up, and what the needs of the company are. In the other role, it's gonna be a lot more technical, and you really get to keep your hands dirty with the code and the systems. And then maybe having a preference between those. And maybe from the outside, recognizing who has strengths in those different camps, who has the strong communication skills that's going to be able to make sure that work keeps moving smoothly. Maybe they might be great for management. And on the other side, who's, really just so obsessed about the code and, making it more efficient, making the project better and better. Maybe they're really going to do well in that technical role, that technical path instead. But also, I think there's, like plenty of room for the person to decide for themselves too. Like, hey, do you want to be a manager? Do you want to work with people? Or do you like focusing on the project? Because sometimes you just ask people and they'll just tell you, like, I don't know if I want to manage people. I don't know if I want to deal with people. I'd rather just do the technical work,
yeah.
Or someone won't know, and you have to devise a way to sort of like give
Exactly.
them
A taste.
opportunities, or like, or let them be a manager for a little bit with
Oh.
with an escape hatch to be like, this
Sure.
sucks.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
mind. Undo. Like there are different ways of approaching that where it doesn't feel scary or all or nothing, or like you're either in this role or you're
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
And that all goes for like established companies. Like if you're an earlier stage startup, this is all a lot messier and a lot less defined.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it can be whatever, and things will just continue to chug along in some direction, right?
Yeah.
Does any of it matter?
Entropy will come for us all, one way or the other. But I do think a thing that's shared between both tracks, like this isn't a metaphor. I don't know what this is. Like a test I had for people, um, not necessarily pass fail, but like where I wanted them to get, regardless if they want to be a manager or
You ask them, they see a
um,
turtle in the desert on its back. It's struggling.
flip it over. What was the new one? The points within points.
Oh, geez.
Way off baseline.
Yeah.
But is like I need to be able to put that person into a meeting without me and trust that it's going to be a good meeting. That the purpose of that meeting will be fulfilled, that the person I'm putting in that meeting will understand what needs to happen, understand the questions that they need to ask, understand it to that like emotional intelligence of understand the people across the table from them,
Mm-hmm.
what their goals are and what they're actually trying to achieve,
Mm.
regardless of what they're saying they're trying to achieve, so that we can come to the real optimal solution, not the solution that say like a marketing person thinks they want, where the real solution is actually like with a layer of engineering layered on top to actually make it like a real thing.
Sure.
And if you can do that, if you can be put in a meeting with, I mean, in some ways, like very little heads up and like, hey, sorry, you just got to go talk to this person.
Mm.
And they come back with something productive, that's a really good sign that they are ready for more responsibility, whether it's like a management role or like
Okay.
a tech lead or a staff engineer or something beyond just the like day-to-day. I'm given a task that's pretty well defined and I execute that at varying levels of speed, because that's, I think, like the junior versus mid-level versus like senior one. It's kind of all about like how much work you can kind of get through that's
Mm-hmm.
already well defined versus going into the more nebulous, undefined work of the higher levels.
Speaking of career track and growing in your career, looking to the future a little bit, something Sean and I have been talking about is how
We can't stop talking about it.
oh yeah, we love it. In a way, it's a love-hate relationship, I think.
There you go.
We've been talking about how AI is changing the future of software development, and I'm just curious about what your feelings on that are. Do you have any concerns? Are you excited for it? Are you enjoying it right now? What are your thoughts on AI and how it's affecting the software market?
Yeah, this is the AI existential crisis corner.
Yeah.
I think I think my thoughts are not gonna be unique.
Sure.
I think I'll echo probably what everyone else, the exact same thing as everyone else. But
Okay.
sort of colored with my existential crisis is I am sort of looking for work right now, and that will ramp up
Right.
in a more deliberate sense in a sometime this year. I'm sort of like casual looking right now, and then I will be more
Mm-hmm.
aggressive looking later when the
Yeah.
severance
Well,
runs out.
it's great to kind of get a third opinion in this space because in a way we've like Sean just found a job. I kind of have I could be looking for a job, but I'm deciding not to. You're actively looking for a job, and so the way we feel about it probably steers our direction a little bit.
Yeah. So I do have, and I also I started I checked out Claude Code not when it came out, but like over the last summer, and I really liked
Mm.
the UX of it. I really liked that
Oh,
it
you
wasn't.
got into Claude Code pretty early. Last summer
Well,
as a...
don't give me too much credit because I'm about to say like I liked the UX and then I didn't use it because I didn't think it was very good.
Oh, okay.
But I liked the terminal. I liked it being in the terminal
The
because you got
CLI
to
version.
because like ooh, I'm in the terminal. I'm being like as a mostly mobile engineer, you know
Hmm.
you don't a lot of your career is not spent in the terminal like other disciplines, and so when you get to use it, you're
Sure.
like I'm being a fancy hacker. Um, and I
Matrix
liked that it was
mode.
just like out of the way. Like I could just talk to it and then it could go away, and it wasn't this chat window in a VS Code clone.
Mm.
And then when I got laid off and started, kind of a lot of my time right now is being spent on my own projects and my own ideas and just sort of building software that I I want to exist
Hmm.
merely for it existing, not for any like I will never make a dime over any of the very stupid things I'm building. Um, uh, and so at first I didn't use Claude Code because I needed to remember how to program. Like it had been so long since I'd been
Right.
programming day to day beyond just like a one-line bug fix.
Yeah, something we've
Um,
discussed is that with management, it's easy to kind of step away from the day-to-day coding tasks, and then at some point you kind of have to get back into it.
yeah, where like I was having a lot of technical conversations at my old role, but I
Mm.
wasn't programming them.
Right.
So originally I was like, I'm not going to use Claude Code. I'm going to typey all my uh, I guess I don't write Objective C anymore, so it's not brackets, but like I'm going to type all
Uh-huh.
my parentheses myself, bespoke
Sure. Doing it the
artisanal parentheses.
old-fashioned way.
Um, and then for one of the projects, I'm like, okay, I'm going to use Claude Code here because I need to develop a really strong opinion on it for interviewing because I'm going to be asked
Mm.
about it, especially as like an engineering leader. I should have a really informed perspective on like how the hell would I expect a team to uh, use this tool and what is it good, what are the strengths and weaknesses,
Okay.
and I kind of like fell in love with it. It's so fun.
That seems
It's
to
so
happen a
fun to
lot.
use,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my, like this is really good, and I was going to use it a little bit, and then I started using it a lot more, and then the reality sunk in of like 2 weeks after using it, I like it wasn't that I had to learn a technique how to use it to make code that was like maintainable and not a spaghetti mess where it really wants to repeat itself. It really wants
Oh.
to run straight through a wall like the Kool-Aid man.
Mm.
And I think
And is that a recent experience? And by recent in AI terms, I feel like I have to mention is that in the last few weeks or is that like
yeah.
last summer? Okay, last few
No,
weeks
I
ago.
think like currently these tools love repeating themselves, love running through walls.
Okay.
Um and and I think like why I'm slightly optimistic at the career of software engineering is that I think like I was very dismissive of the architecture role
Hmm.
throughout my career. When everyone was like, "I want to be an architect," I'm like, "I don't think that's a real job." A software architect. Like I think
Really? Wow.
you don't just
Wait, can
get
you
to write
elaborate
down
on
what you
that?
want.
Yeah.
I think like you don't just get to write down what you want and then hand it to someone else.
Oh.
Like
Wait a
I think
second.
uh-oh. Like I think you lose something in the translation and you're not aware of the pain point. You need to be like in the code
Yeah.
and aware of the pain points
Okay.
I mean,
to know.
I've
Go ahead.
long felt this way. I guess I can besmirch their good name, but I worked with a couple ex-architects from Salesforce, and they were the worst. They were totally useless, and eventually we fired them because they were too far, but too
Ah.
opinionated. Like they were too far from the problem space. But I said, wait
Yeah.
a sec, because um, you're like you can't just describe what you want to do and give it to somebody. But wait, now you can.
I think that's the tension and why I like these for just telling these AI tools something and then going to do it, they need like strong guardrails. Currently,
Oh
maybe in a
yeah,
year this won't
yeah.
be true, but like the principles of like good software engineering and good software architecture, I think,
Uh-huh.
are more important than ever. Like I was spent weeks building this tool. You know, 99% of the code is written by Claude.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started noticing like more and more regressions. And eventually I had to like wrap my head around the architecture, and then over like 3 days, like working with Claude again to like build a build a really strong structure where these regressions can't happen because of the way the code is structured. And then it took me another uh, few days after that to actually get it to write the code I wanted to get, because it kept on like making these abstractions for me and then not using them. And so I had like a bunch of like empty abstractions littered around the code base. And it would be like, yeah, I wrote that interface you wanted, whatever, man. And then I'd go check it. And you're like, you're not using it anywhere. And I think it's like Claude is tuned to really want to use the code in front of it, not the code you're telling it to write.
Yeah. Well, so I think what you're describing is like a very early experience of AI development or developing with AI, because I don't think the expectation from the people who've made these tools is that it's going to write everything for you perfectly, obviously, but that where its limitations are, you as the developer can kind of bridge the gap. And so like it was great when Sean first started getting into this too. He mentioned similar things of like where its limitations were. And what's funny is like a few weeks later, maybe a month or two later, he mentioned like, oh, those limitations have shrunk,
Whoa, whoa,
like
whoa, 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 whoa. Like, so I'll let you continue in a sec, Kevin, but in the span, if you can go back and listen to the episodes, my first time was using the Xcode built-in smart programming pre-agent. It was the LLM window.
Yeah, it's the chat thing.
Yeah, the not agentic model.
Yeah, and it was also like 3 generations old Codex or Claude or something. So that was very unserious. That was super silly. I was just like,
Oh
make
yeah,
this
he didn't
app.
really believe it was gonna work, but he
And
tried
it
it.
and it made garbage. Yeah, like,
As
but
expected.
yes, in the time since then, I've found the faith on architecture, cl- plan documents, instruction documents,
Yeah.
really clear coding guidelines. It's crazy that all these things that were supposedly helpful for people and teams of people working together are also super helpful. But the problem is nobody wrote them down before. So at least now we're writing them down.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of where I'd landed, where like I'm very much a like human in the loop person. You get there are like AI boosters out there like, no, like 50 agents going nuts, self-validating. Like I kind of look at the fundamentals of these tools, like these LLMs. They are transformative. That is undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of interest in viewing AI images or AI videos or AI, like I don't want to read my coworkers' AI generated email, because I
Amen.
want to read their email because I can see their personality in the emails, that even in the boring emails they write. I don't want to read 50 ChatGPT emails because they all have the same personality, and I'll be very bored, and I don't want to be bored at my job. And I think programming is a unique, like there's a reason all this like agent hype is working for programming and it's not working in other places. And I think a lot of that, and that might change, but AI programming is a unique. Turns out, didn't expect this, but turns out programming I think is a unique fit for these strengths of these tools. Whereas it's a constrained grammar, a programming language. There's only so many ways you can do it. There's strong source control sort of expectations built in. So if they go nuts, you can just like delete and start over, which is not true for my mom's photo library.
Oh shit, yeah.
And like boring, for years, boring is the goal. Like for years, when someone makes something too complex, the PR feedback is like, don't try to get smart with this. Do the boring thing so that you can make sense of it in a month. And so a really boring, banal, like ChatGPT email annoys me. I don't want to read it. But a really boring, straightforward implementation that's a little verbose of a programming thing, like yes, that every day,
Yeah.
opposed to the really tuned particular implementation that a human came up with. But also like the weaknesses of these LLMs, like at the end of the day, they are still just statistically generating tokens. And turns out you can do a whole lot more of that than we thought we could, or that's a whole lot more useful than we thought it would be. But it still has no like it has no sense of the system it's building. The human brain can still have a sense of the system that it's building. These tools can't. They'll always just be generating the next token to come along based on the previous token. So I think
Oh,
that's where like the human
always?
in the loop is going to be until like with the current LLM transformer sort of technologies. I think that's going to be.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
quote me on this in 6 months. We'll see.
yeah, I think it's worth considering you might be limiting the AI technology because even ChatGPT is not just an LLM, right? They have systems built around it for function calling. The memories thing isn't really a built-in LLM feature. It kind of pulls from that. And so AI as a whole might not just be that language model. It might be that and the systems that support it.
It is a more advanced system than just the L, but like the creative part is the LLM,
Okay.
and the thing holding the state. Well, maybe state's the wrong word, but like they're currently in with these systems, like you can draw a system diagram and you can say that's the system. So
Mm-hmm.
always you know reread this document before you start everything. But like I don't think that there's I don't know, there's something else with how a human brain thinks about the system and can fold it and can rotate it in its head and think
Sure.
about it that
Yeah.
these systems currently can't without some other advancement. That I think the human in the loop will continue to stay important. Um, I will say for the foreseeable future, and let's put for the next 6 months, let's say. Um, I'm kind of optimistic about what are my career prospects um, with these tools kind of hitting, you know, my entering the job market when these tools very clearly hit an inflection point of utility.
Sure.
Um,
I might be saying the quiet part out loud when I like say I'm wondering if you're having an optimistic view of people and their importance here. It's because you've got to get that job and sell your importance.
Maybe.
But
Uh, Certainly. But like, if you think about the the history of programming, at every step it got easier and faster. So, machine language, like punch cards, to assembly, to early programming languages, to object-oriented programming languages, to Rails was like a big explosion. Like at every step, it got simpler and faster. And at every step, that meant more people. They employed more programmers after that, after things settled down. Um, and you see this with like textile manufacturing as well, where at every at every advance in technology, more people make T-shirts today than any time in the history of the planet.
okay, maybe not in the same roles, but there's more people involved.
Yeah, it also like devalued the labor, and now like textiles is like emerging nations, developing nations are like you want to build up the textile, and people are like paid even for those nations like pittances.
Mm.
So I think that's like the devaluing of software engineering. I think is inevitable,
Mm.
um, but I do think there will likely be more programming jobs next year than this year.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and because there's more opportunities, and there might be smaller teams doing more ambitious things, because like that's
Mm.
how I like my thinking, like in terms of finding a new job. I with these fun little projects I'm doing, I'm thinking like, oh, like with these tools, could I be more ambitious, and could I turn this into uh my job? Could these
Sure.
silly little programs become my job? And that's something I'm considering and thinking about. And I don't know if I'm cut out for that. I like having a job and a paycheck.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there will be more companies trying to do more things, which will mean more programming jobs.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where I'm at, kind of currently, slightly optimistic. could be hilariously wrong. But I also think if I'm wrong, it's not going to matter because then society will be dramatically changing, and it
Yeah,
won't matter if I have a job or
we'll
not.
be concerned about something else, and we'll have forgotten your argument a long time ago.
Yeah, we'll be concerned about like where my next meal is coming
Oh,
from.
sure. Well,
So either way, I win. Either way, jobs don't matter, or I'll get a job.
Have you all seen that graph from the Financial Times, which is GDP over the last 100 years? And it's a trend line going up, and then there's a dotted line that says GDP continues, and then there's a straight up line, and it says AI, like AI massive productivity gains, and then it goes the other way, and it says like AI puts everybody out of work.
oh,
And it's like these are either GDP continues or there's massive growth or we all die. Yeah, it's that simple.
yeah.
Either money keeps mattering, or money is no longer like a going concern, and you have
Yeah.
to like, and we're bartering again.
Yeah.
And that'll be fun in a different way, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely philosophized about what the future could look like a few times on this podcast. What's
Yeah.
clear is that some people are going to win big with this direction of things, but will they be willing to take care of everyone else? Well, they have to.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
that's the problem with every advancement in productivity. It's the dang capitalists that own the machinery, you know?
Yeah.
Workers of the world unite, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
what is it? Like the Communist Manifesto came out of the previous industrial revolution, so
Oh.
and then communism proceeded to take over half the world. So we'll see
Uh-oh.
what happens after this industrial revolution.
Lots to look forward to. So your perspective is really just confirmation bias for me. Like, so this, I was just nodding along. Yes, yes, yes to everything you say. How? I guess it's not relevant to your job search. Like, you know, forget everybody coming after us. But I keep thinking about how new people to the field get the skills. Like, do they just like in school they just teach programming and you have to learn programming and then you get into the job market and you're just using AI? Like, I don't know. The mind reels.
That's, I mean, I think it's not a unique fear, but I do think the like what happens to junior developers, I think is like fast forward 10 years, like what happens when you're missing a cohort of junior engineers? Because I think like the Cloud Code, amazing teaching. Like I'm working in technologies right now that like scared me before and were really hard to learn, and now it's just like I have an infinitely patient tutor that is probably only lying to me like 5% of the time.
But which 5%?
And we'll find out when I launch a website that has massive security. But like I think like when I was like in the 2010s, there was this trend of tutorials that was like learn Python the hard way, learn X the hard way, and it was literally like here's a book, and part of the book's philosophy is you have to type out every line of code this book tells you to type out.
Yeah.
You do not copy and paste, just write it out, and you can do that with these tools, but it takes like an iron will because you know. And I've like some days I even do that. Some days it's like this is going to be a typey day for me.
Yeah.
And you know I type in the morning, and then after lunch I'm like it'd be really easy if I just stopped typing and let it do its thing.
And so this is for you to learn as you go, like you're in a new language or a new framework or something.
Yeah, like I was building a command line interface and a terminal user interface in Go. And like Go is a language that I've used and said I don't like because it's not object oriented enough. Like I miss my objects. Even though it is like object, it's just weird about its object oriented.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, Claude, like tell me what to write, but I'm gonna write it. And so it made this like 1,000-line document that's like this function and this function and this function and this function. I was like, okay, type.
Oh no, you really wrote. Okay,
and I was good because I was learning,
that's a good strat.
and I understood the architecture of the code base I was in and the decisions that it was making. and like the general flow of it, and that was super valuable.
Oh, it worked.
But
Okay.
then, lunch rolls around, you get back to your desk, and you're like, I could just like I could write another 200 lines. And this is like, technically I am being a 10x developer because I am just literally writing the code it tells me to write. So like this is the most productive I've ever been. Or I could just tell it to do the rest. and some days I don't I did this more. I don't do this sort of like type thing regularly, but some days I do. And it's always really challenging. I think that's the challenge the like junior engineers are going to have of like, I could use this to learn, or I could use this to just get it done, and everyone will say what a good job I did.
Oh man, I think you guys might be holding on to old-fashioned ideals, you know? I think a lot of people today don't know their times tables, which might be terrible, but it's not going to stop them from being able to do some quick math, you know?
Well, I think it's more like times tables I'm not too worried about, but I am about like expressing yourself or being able to like explain a book, even
Sure.
a 5 paragraph essay. Like I feel it's analogous to the point.
Well,
Like,
so I'm not arguing that like people won't be expressing themselves. They'll be expressing themselves in a new way, right?
But I think they still have to understand the system they're building, and I think there's these tools are
Do
really.
they though?
I
Yeah.
think so. Today, I think
It's because like driving a car, you really don't have to know how that whole thing works, you know? You might have to fix a thing here or there, but for the most part, it's hugely abstracted, you know?
well, but you have to know the rules of the road, and somebody knows how cars work. Like,
Sure.
to Kevin's earlier point, and I think I made the same point on a previous podcast. The desire for software is insatiable, and so like we need silicon chips, but only a small percentage of people working today know how to make the microprocessors. But
Right.
it's still somebody needs to understand it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
even in the future, I think somebody needs to understand the systems, even if there's tons of consumer grade software that's just, garbage. Like
I see.
not like even if it meets requirements, like
Mhm.
at some level, somebody needs to know how to do software to build things,
Right. You're
just like
saying
people
when
still
when the
have.
existing knowledgeable people disappear, like someone has to fill that gap
yeah.
of
Yeah, like people know how to smelt. People know how to like
I also
Yeah.
think
whittle.
software is
you know?
unique in how, because it's not in the physical space, it can get the complexity. You should manage it, but you don't strictly have to. And eh, take the simplest, stupidest SaaS software. If you had to build that as a physical machine
Mhm.
in real life, it would be like the size of North America. It would be like, people point to the Large Hadron Collider and the space station as like the most complex things humans have ever built. But like
Uh-huh.
the crappy SaaS software that you rely on is probably like orders of magnitude more complex because it doesn't have to exist in the real world. And I think that complexity, it can, in these current tools, which again I think are very good, scarily good, and like better at programming than me, it can spiral out of control. And so I think like the role of a software engineer is going to change. Like I'm going to
Yeah.
type less in my career,
Yeah.
which is sad because I have a very nice keyboard. But my job will be managing that complexity.
Yeah.
And I think a junior engineer's job will be to learn like how to manage that complexity. And even because you don't, in the day to day, you can ignore the complexity for a little bit, and you could ignore that complexity for weeks.
Sure.
But I still believe, with where these systems are today, that complexity will rear its head. Like it's reared its head in the like toy projects I've been playing with, where it has one engineer and I'm only ever going to use it on my machine, so it doesn't matter. And even then, it's still like, wait, I thought you were doing X and you were doing Y, and now like every time you add a new key binding, everything breaks. We got to fix that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just because the complexity got away from it. Left to its own devices, it wanted to define the key binding 6 times
Sure.
with duplicate code. And I was like, no, do it once. And they're like, ha, great idea. And like, thank you. It was a good idea to do it once.
Yeah.
So there's like software principles still matter, and they're not yet baked into these models. And we'll see if they ever are, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I have some different ideas, but
It's 2 against 1 this time. At least, so.
Well, but I think even if the models get better, though, there's still expertise, there's still
Mhm.
context, there's still understanding the problem space. Like the reason why there aren't 50 different Salesforce clones right now that are vibe coded is because that's a real complicated problem space. Like,
Well, so I think what you guys are kind of imagining is a world where the AI takes over and does it all. I imagine a world where it's like the AI does still have those limitations, but then we step in and then you just tweak that thing like, hey, you were doing this thing wrong. Like, you're trying to do it wrong 6 times. Like,
well, that's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, it's clearly, I mean, going to continue to grow from what's happening today too, right? Like this
Well, I think
isn't where it stops.
I think I still think that so like, yeah, someone can go and like the things software companies will be selling is like validation and trust and risk management, not
Yeah.
the software. Because anyone can
Mm.
anyone can like clone something that looks like Salesforce in
Sure.
an afternoon now.
Yeah.
But what you're paying Salesforce enough to build a really fancy tower in San Francisco for is the like
And one in Chicago.
Yeah.
oh, that's right. Is that idea that like, hey, this mostly works. And like I say mostly because it's software, and I think we have like a software generally has had a spiraling quality crisis for decades.
Mm.
And that's what SaaS contracts will be in the next 10 years is you're selling that this thing actually works and that you've gone through the process of validating it with software engineers
Yeah.
to make it work.
Mm.
Even
Yeah.
if you didn't write most of the code.
Yeah. Yeah. I think software engineers definitely still have a future. Maybe just the number of them might change.
But I even, like Kevin said earlier, like the amount of risk somebody could take on, like even a few years ago, like you'd have a pitch deck and you'd hope somebody would give you some money, or you'd have some nerd hack together something.
Mm-hmm.
But that prototype, that like MVP
Mm-hmm.
was so much work. And now you can do that in hours,
Oh
days,
yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah.
And so now, I mean, I've seen in my job, I've seen upstarts of like 2 people in India make basically a whole sort of leg of the product that I work for.
Oh.
It's super buggy. It doesn't like actually work, but like they got a few customers. They got it together with like no investment.
Oh wow.
You know, LLM coding.
Uh-huh.
And so I still really believe that like it might not be programming as we know it today,
Mm-hmm.
but like this job of make software, like that there's just an insatiable desire. Like right now, every single person on the planet wants an infinite amount of software. There's everything that can be done with software.
Yeah.
And this just opens, continues to open the flow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we're making this podcast so we can listen to this around the campfire a couple years from now when we're bartering for shoes.
Oh yeah.
Be sure to
I'll have
download.
my shoes. I'll have nothing to barter because I just boiled them and ate them. My fingerless gloves around the steel drum.
I always wanted to be a hobo. That'd be great.
Seems simple, good living.
So as we wrap up, Kevin, do you have anything to pitch? Do you want me to link to your LinkedIn? Are you going to launch that notes app that you alluded to?
I'll get to the notes app to a point where I can do like a LinkedIn post about, hey, here's this dumb thing that I made. Like people can go look at it on my GitHub. It's like doesn't even have a README or like you can't even install it. You got to like download the binary and like do a Go build to use it. And it's just markdown files. so it probably won't delete your data. I don't know. What do I want to pitch?
No warranty implied or
I don't have anything to pitch right now. I will pitch because I have a financial incentive in this. My wife has a book coming out in April called Body Weather. Speaking of weather, we mentioned earlier,
Oh wow,
and it's
yeah.
about
Topical.
her journey with chronic illness, and it's like semi-autobiographical. It also talks about climate change and our changing world and how that relates both metaphorically and actually with bodies and illness and chronic illness. If you want to know why I wear a mask at these meetups, the book is not going to tell you it, but you can extrapolate using your reading comprehension skills.
Mhm.
Why I wear masks still. I didn't stop that. But yeah, that comes out in April, and it's Body Weather by Lorraine Boissonneau, and you can pre-order wherever books are sold. And if you
Yeah,
know Oprah,
Oh.
please tell her about it, so then I don't have to find a job.
I'll put a link in the show notes. I'll be sure to remember that. Yeah, good plug.
I'll
Man,
send you
this
a
is
link.
fun.
Yeah. Well,
Awesome.
thank you for
Finally had a
having me. This
guest,
was fun.
and yeah.
Finally,
Yeah.
I can say I've been on a podcast in the year of our Lord
Yay.
20 and 26.
New
Well,
achievement.
based on your social capital, the response to the YouTube video through your LinkedIn post was tremendous. So I can't wait until you link to this. We're gonna be famous.
Oh, I'm a LinkedIn. I have no idea if LinkedIn has any value, but I'm gonna keep hustling there until I can go back to ignoring it.
Thanks for joining us for this 16th episode of the NSCoder Chicago podcast. My name is David. Thank you for joining us today, Kevin.
Thank you for having me.
And my name's Sean. NSCoder Chicago meets on the last Tuesday of every month. Our next meeting is going to be on the 24th of March. Look for more information about us on meetup.com. You can search NSCoder and you'll find us. We're the only meetup named after a legacy class in Objective-C. You can also find our website, nscoder-chicago.com. We'd love to see if you enjoyed this conversation, even just a little bit. I guarantee you'll love seeing us downtown.
Yes, and you've got some time to plan for it. So look out for it. It's a fun one.
No excuses.